Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 5:04 a.m. Friday, October the 17th. I hope you're having a great day today. I certainly am. I've got my big blue mug of coffee with me today. Looking forward to the weekend for sure. And just before I move on to today's topic, I was in Costco in Okotoks yesterday with my mother-in-law. We're doing a little shopping. I was sitting in the food area there. And a couple from Diamond Valley, which is just southwest of Calgary, came by to say hi. And I'm sorry, I tried to remember your names, they just are gone. But I do appreciate you coming up and talking to me. I enjoyed our chat. You have a great weekend. So, what are we going to talk about today? I think the title of this video, I haven't made up my mind yet, would be Everything That's Good in This Country Happens Because of Conservatives, or All Good Policies Lead to Conservatives in Canada, something like that. Because I'm going to run through something that's happened over the last 24 hours that I think is important, and I'm wondering why it's happening now. I'll get to it in just a moment. Now, why am I saying all good policies in this country are because of conservatives? You liberals and people who voted for liberals, you need to listen closely here. The first time I brought this up was on a video I did back on March the 10th. And the video was called, it's got a long title, Pierre Poilievre Makes Mark Carney Eat Crow, and No One is Talking About It Except Me. And what am I talking about? Well, let me just show you a quick little clip of that video. What am I talking about? Watch this.
So my government will immediately eliminate the divisive consumer carbon tax on families and farmers and small and medium-sized businesses.
My government will immediately eliminate the divisive consumer carbon tax. Those words passed the lips of Mark Carney yesterday. The new Liberal leader, the new Prime Minister, Mr. Net Zero, Mr. Climate Change, Mr. Special Envoy for Climate to the UN said those words yesterday. And you're going to say, John, we knew this was coming. But until they passed his lips yesterday, this did not exist. And the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre are not taking credit for it, because it's only because of them he said those words yesterday. And the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre have said nothing to take credit for this. Carney is taking credit for it. He is. So March 9th, that's a significant day here in Canada. What happened on March the 9th? Well, March 9th, Mark Carney became the Prime Minister. He didn't get officially sworn in till about 5 days later. But on that night, he won the leadership race and became the Prime Minister of Canada. March 10th, I did that video. So the night that he became Prime Minister in Canada, he announced the end of the carbon tax. And all the way through the rest of the year, right up to this point right now, everything that's happened that's any good in this country is because of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives and other Conservatives in this country as well. Liberals, you need to understand this. And something's happened in the last 24 hours, which is suspect. It's because of Conservatives as well. I'll get to that in just a moment. So what else am I talking about here? EV mandates. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives made an issue about EV mandates. They made it in the House of Commons. I'm not going to play clips for you. It will go on too long. Talking about how the government, the Liberals, are taking away your choice for cars by 2035. That was the plan. You would not be able to buy the car you wanted when you got to 2035. And the keyboard warriors who just love Mark Carney and hate Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives in this country said we were wrong. But what happened? Carney got rid of the EV mandates, at least for now, because they're going to come back. Housing. Pierre Poilievre made an issue about housing all the way through the election, prior to the election, how housing prices are far too high in this country. And it's because of the government. I did a video on that yesterday, how the government needs to get out of the way. We've now got a housing corporation in Canada, which is an absolute mess. Poilievre's plan was better, but if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre, would we be talking about housing at all? No. Car theft. Pierre Poilievre joked about car theft. It's not a joke. I've got a friend myself who has had 2 cars stolen from him. One of them's overseas. He got the other one back, luckily, but had major repairs on it because they tried to tear it apart on the inside because there's tracking devices on vehicles. But Poilievre's made a point about car theft, and it wasn't until he brought that up that they started talking about car theft. It's because of the Conservatives. Oh, and by the way, when it comes to EV mandates as well, we got to give some credit to Danielle Smith, because that was one of her things, one of those 9 demands she had of the next government, which happens to be the Liberals. What about a tax break? Liberals don't give you tax breaks. The carbon tax is a break. Thank Pierre Poilievre for that. But Poilievre said he was going to give people a tax break. The Liberals gave you a tax break. Half the size as Poilievre's. Again, their policies aren't as good as the Conservatives, but they wouldn't have given you any tax break if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. Money for defense. The Liberals have been starving our defense in this country and our military for years. Pierre Poilievre made this an issue. We need to strengthen our defense. And if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives talking about this, there'd be no more money for defense. But now we have more money for defense. And Carney's taking credit for all of these things. We talked during the election how he was stealing all of the Conservatives' policies, and they have. The only reason anything good happens in this country is because of Conservatives. The Conservatives might as well be running the government right now. And folks, it'd have been better off if they were. Now, what's the latest thing? Let's go back to Pierre Poilievre months and months and months ago when he said this.
And Mark Carney has said he will not change any of the catch and release Liberal laws. Like so many elites who don't have to feel the effects of their policies, he agrees with them. When he lives in a protected neighborhood, he is surrounded by security. He spent most of his adult life not even living in Canada. He has no idea what it's like to feel endangered in his community.
So the point made here is that Poilievre has been talking about crime in this country for months, if not years. I think he's been talking about it since he first became the leader of the Conservative Party a long, long time ago. And of course, the keyboard warriors who like Mark Carney and the Liberals and hate Pierre Poilievre for some reason, and Conservatives in this country have been mocking Poilievre for making an issue out of this. And now what's happened next? We get this. This is an article from Brian Lilly, Toronto Sun. Carney Liberals plan to get tough on crime. This is just from yesterday. I got an email from Lilly. I get regular emails from him talking about this. I'm not going to read this whole article. I'll put a link in the description so you can read it. I enjoy Brian Lilly very much. But this is part of the article right here. Carney sounding like Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. In making the announcement, Mark Carney was sounding an awful lot like Pierre Poilievre. Quote, in Canada, you should be able to wake up, get in your car, drive to work, come home, and sleep soundly at night, Carney said. Another article here. Carney says bail reform bill coming next week. RCMP getting money to boost pay for credits. So they're going to do something about crime right now. And if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre making an issue out of this, this wouldn't be happening right now. So the question that needs to be asked is, why is this happening right now? Right? Here he is talking about this. I believe this was just yesterday.
We're strengthening the criminal code to get tough on bail and sentencing, keeping violent criminals and repeat offenders off our streets. And
so all of a sudden, the Liberals seem to think there's a problem with crime. Now, their answer to getting rid of crime up until this point has been taking guns away from law-abiding citizens in this country. Now, just before I get to why I think this is happening now, and I'm just spitballing here, folks. Maybe you can let me know in the comments what you think about this. But just before I get to that, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party should be walking out and saying what I'm saying right here, right now. Like he should have taken credit for the carbon tax. Now, for those of you who say the carbon tax isn't actually gone, I know that. It's still on the books, folks. We've got another carbon tax on our fuel. We've got the emissions cap or the emissions tax as well. This all costs you money when it comes to your fuel in this country. But Poilievre should have taken credit for that, like he should have taken credit for the EV mandates, like he should have taken credit for policy on housing and car theft and tax breaks and money for defense. And he should be taking credit on this because all of a sudden they've had a come to Jesus moment on crime. Why? When Carney got rid of the carbon tax, that took all of the wind out of Poilievre's sails because his mantra for ages was axe the tax. And as soon as he did that, that was gone. Axe the tax, axe the tax, axe the tax. Is Carney getting tougher on crime because he thinks we might go to an election and this is just one more box he can tick off and take that one more thing out of Poilievre's quiver that he has against the government? Now, the Conservatives are already saying that they're being tough on crime doesn't go far enough, but it's like liberals and everything. They go half-assed on everything. They went half-assed on the carbon tax. They're going half-assed on housing. They're going half-assed on your tax break. They're going half-assed on money for defense. They do everything half-assed. They're not good at anything. But I'm just wondering if that's what's going on here. And I'm wondering what else might come up before November 4th. We've still got, a week and a half to 2 weeks before that happens. What other thing is Carney going to promise all of a sudden that looks like he's doing good for the country? I don't think that the NDP want an election right now. They're in dire straits. They haven't got any money, haven't got any leader. So they'll probably still prop up the government. The Bloc Québécois like being in the position they're in because they can hold the government ransom, Canadian taxpayers for ransom for whatever they want. Because the Liberals will kiss their ass because they'll want votes in the next election. And we'll pay for it. How they got supply management into law now. Because the government's desperate. They're only a minority right now. You got to remember that. So I'm just wondering if that's what's going on right now. It's going to be interesting. Now, I was thinking this morning, wouldn't it be great if we did have a vote of non-confidence? Carney, call the election for December the 25th. I'd be happy to go out on Christmas Day to give you and the Liberal Party a lump of coal. I'd be really happy to do that. But what do I think's coming up after the budget and maybe into the new year? I think they'll wait into the new year for this. Stuff like a GST hike. The Liberals always tell you what's good for you. They're always dictating what's good for you. They'll frame it this way. We're going to raise the GST so we can pay down the deficit, because that's a big issue with Pierre Poilievre right now as well. And the Conservatives will say this is an extra tax on Canadians, and the Liberals will say, but this is good for you. This is good for the country. What are you complaining about? We're paying down the deficit. But they won't. They're spending more and more and more. Spend less, invest more, right? And also, who knows? I've mentioned this before. I've heard others talk about this. Universal basic income. That could be the other thing that's coming. Because an election, what do they say, about 18 months for a minority government? I think that's quite possible. It could be next fall. Around this time, we could have another election. So they might float UBI out there. The politician that robs Peter to pay Paul will always have a friend in Paul. George Bernard Shaw. Let me know what you think in the comments. I just think it's kind of interesting that the timing for this crime thing is happening right now. And I think there could be some more things popping up. Keep your eyes open over the next week and a half to 2 weeks before the budget that will take the wind out of the sails of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. But Pierre, Conservative Party, take credit for all these things. It's only because of Conservatives in this country that any good policies have come out, even though the Liberals half-assed them. And the only reason why anything good gets done in Canada, the only good reason, because of Conservatives. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I will see you in the next one.